up, Focus crew? Welcome back to another FPL video. Today we're starting the new series called Manager Focus, where I interview different FPL managers. And today's special guest will be the wonderful Fpl Nym. So before we do get into the interview, please do smash that subscribe button, hit the like button. Let's see if we can get 10 likes on this video. Right, let's get into it. Hi, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us, Fpl Nym, as our first ever Manager Focus interview. So, real honour. How are you, Fpl Nym?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very well. Excited to get these questions underway. I'm going to find it very interesting. I think a lot of people will be very interested to see what answers you do give. So, without further ado, let's get into our first question. Are you ready, Nym?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Okay, so question one. How did you first get into playing FPL? How did you find it to begin with?
Yeah, so I used to watch Match of the Day at uni with a friend, but was only ever really interested in watching Match of the Day for my team. So my best friend played fantasy football, and nobody else in our group of friends was really that interested in football. So I said, I'll give it a go. I'll play this game with you. It might help me get interested in other teams. I won our mini league in the first season and I was absolutely hooked
Wow.
from there. Yeah. I really enjoy it though. I'm hoping to bring the fun factor back a little bit this season, definitely.
Now, that's amazing to win your mini league as well. That gives you a taste for it, and then I suppose there's no looking back after you've done that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It kind of, I think in that competitive moment, you're like, if I can do this once, I can do it again. But then I found out it's an awful lot harder when you start playing against more people.
Absolutely, and you put pressure on yourself, don't you? You know what the game's like. So, question two, nice simple one. What is your best overall rank?
Okay, so on this particular account, it's 23k. I think I've got two 20k plus finishes and a
Wow.
50k plus finish. So I think that's all within the 1% for those years. But for a long time, I didn't even know what an OR was, to be honest. As I just said, I was so focused on mini leagues and winning my mini leagues that I definitely didn't even know there was this thing where we had to do brilliant in ORs. That I got to Twitter that I kind of found all of this out. So they definitely could be better, but it's all about having fun more, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that's amazing rank, something to be proud of. Many people couldn't say that they would be able to get that rank, so absolutely. And also when you do rank better, then it just makes you more determined to want to
Hmm.
go and beat that the next season. That's FPL's addictive like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, next question. If you had to tell a new manager the do's and don'ts of FPL, what would they be?
Okay, so the really obvious one I think would be don't use all your chips straight away. Because I think when you're new and you see all these chips, you think, ooh, especially if you have like a red arrow in the first week, you think, oh, just use my triple captain in the second week and that'll really help. But it's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. So you want to take your time with that. And just on the same kind of vein, I'd say try and be patient with players. That's a note for myself as well, because often when players aren't doing well, it's very easy just to transfer them straight out of your team. And then, like, a week later, you're like, why did I do that? They're the best FPL asset in the world. So, yeah, I think being patient with your players is a good one. And lastly, I would just say buy Haaland and captain him most weeks.
Makes sense, absolutely. And they're great tips because it's so easy to want to use them chips if you're not having such a great game week to chase stuff. And also what you said
Mm,
about players jumping from one player to another. It's important to be patient because you could jump so many times and keep missing and you'll get more frustrated and it never works. So brilliant advice, Nim. Question four. What type of manager would you say you was style wise? So, sort of example stats, eye test, a mixture.
Yeah, I'd definitely say I lean more on the eye test. The fun of FPL for me is watching the football. So being invested in more than just my team. So when I'm watching the matches, I'm obviously taking in a lot of the information from the players, and that kind of weighs more heavily for me than stats do because I think we're all human after all, and seeing how a person looks on the pitch can give away a lot more than maybe what the stats can. So I think I'm mainly eye test, but with a sprinkle of stats to back it up.
That's fair. I think I'm pretty much the same as that. So yeah, go off the iPad test and then look at those stats. So I could definitely relate to you in that way. Next question: favorite all-time FPL player? Any
It
season?
has to be Aguero. I love the guy. I owned him and captained him for the
Aguero,
Aguero.
yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, I missed him. I do miss him.
Yeah, massive miss for FPL. I mean, you've got Haaland now, but probably not quite the same. But at least you know you can depend on him points wise.
Yeah.
Who are some of the people you look up to in the FPL world?
This is quite a difficult question, I think, because there are so many for so many different reasons, and they're not all big accounts. But I'd say it's in the field that we're in, it's quite hard to look past Let's Talk FPL Andy for what he's achieved in the FPL YouTube space. It's just amazing. And Sam from FPL Family also springs to mind. She does amazing stuff on the official FPL website and content. So yeah, they're
Yeah.
probably the two that I look up to the most, but I there are a lot more for other reasons too.
Yeah, it's amazing when you look at these big accounts, YouTubers, content creators, and it's something that gives you something to aspire to. So it sets that standard and you know that it's achievable. So it's amazing to see what Andy and Sam have done for sure. Question 7. Are there any changes you would like to see in FPL? And if so, what would they be?
I love the game and its simplicity is key. So you know what, I can see why there's not many changes that are made to the game on a regular basis. But I do think it's a bit of a shame that more central players don't get a look in on the points for us to make them more of an option. I've always thought that really. And
Yeah.
I do really worry about the deadline time and that it will be an issue again this season.
So you mean sort of central players, more tackles because that's what they do, like the defensive midfielders. So more
Yes,
more
yeah.
points for them.
Yeah, passes maybe or tackles, something that maybe just give them a point or two that would maybe kind of bring them into our thinking rather than it just always being a very defensive or attacking outlook from the points point of view.
Absolutely, and I don't think that that would be changing the game too much. So I think it would be easy enough for them to do. I don't see that as a problem. So yeah, it's a good idea. Question 8. Here we go. Favorite chip in FPL Nym?
That is a good question. I think it used to be the triple captainship for me because it's a lot of fun. But with Haaland in the game now, most will just use it on him. So
Oh
it doesn't
no.
feel like you get kind of much of an advantage there. So I'll probably say the free hit chip now. It usually gets played at all different times by all different managers, and you can
Yeah.
always have a bit of fun with it, can't you? You can always maybe stick in the odd differential that nobody else is going for because it's just a 1 week punt.
Yeah, that's true. Bench boost, triple captain, everyone's pretty much using them in the double game weeks, the same
Hmm.
ones. So when you use them, it's like, it doesn't feel as like you're achieving much. Whereas, you know, what it's like, just say like a single game week and you hit just your captaincy and no one else is captain that sort of feeling, that's what you want as an FPL manager.
Yeah, definitely.
If you could invent one chip, what would it be?
I like this question a lot. It's a
It's
bit of fun.
interesting.
I think, what about maybe a switch captainship? So for 1 week, we get to choose a captain, and
Yeah.
then we get to switch the captaincy chip to another player in the game week. So we'd be able to captain somebody for the early part of the game week, and then once that player's played, we bank their points and we get to choose one more captain for the game week, whether that be the next game or even the next game day. Whatever it would be, you get to move your captaincy on at least once, bank the points you've just had, and then get the next lot of points from your next captain. And then you'd get basically double the captain's C points. So 2 captains for 1 game week, pretty much.
Boom. Now that would definitely give you a green arrow for sure.
Well, not necessarily if they both got 2 points.
Yeah, or as we said with the other chips, everyone uses them the same game week. So the obvious captain didn't necessarily hit, and then they'd be jumping to the next best player. Obviously, if they're highly owned. Interesting.
Yeah. But
I
I think it also could give a lot of scope for people to do something different, because obviously if you did it in a week where Haaland had a very early game, you could go for Haaland because you know he's going to be the popular captaincy pick. And then your second captaincy could just be whoever you wanted it to be. And it could really switch the game up a little bit, because people might think, oh, well, I really fancy, Saka against so-and-so, or I might really fancy Rashford against so-and-so. And then it might split who the second amount of points might be. It might even give credence to people just having a punt on a defender maybe for a game week as their second captaincy.
Luca Digne, for example.
For example, yeah. Or Trent, although he's quite expensive this season.
So, question 10. If you could have an assistant manager to help you play FPL, who would it be?
That is tough with so many good managers out there. Of the content creators, probably FPL Harry or Rich Clark. Their consistency to do well in FPL is just insane. And I think if you want an assistant manager, you want somebody who's going to be consistently good. So, yeah, they'd probably be my 2 shouts, Harry and Rich.
Brilliant choices. And your final question, give me 3 players you think will have a great season. So we're about to start a new season, so who do you think? 3 players.
Got to go with an Arsenal player, of course.
Yes.
As we're both Arsenal fans. So I will start with Saka, obviously. Then I would have to say Haaland. He's just the obvious pick, though I really like Salah, so I was kind of 50-50 on these 2. And then my punty one will be Nkunku of Chelsea. Nothing to go on here but pre-season form, but that's exactly why he's a punt.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, Nym. So thank you. That wraps up this manager focus. Don't forget, you can subscribe to Nym's channel. Her channel will be left in the comments section below. And FPL Nym, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Take care.